welcome back to the rationalinvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the rationalinvestor.com's Broiler Chicken Show. Back. Wow, look at that. 25 minutes late. Sorry, everyone. I had to try and get my screen all set up. And then, of course, I was throwing curveballs at Chris just before we get going. And he's like, what the hell are you doing to me, Brian? So, business as usual. Anyway, welcome back. I had actually a very nice break. Took a couple of weeks off, forced myself to do absolutely nothing, and man, it was awesome. That's probably the first time in probably about 5 years or so that I actually just gave myself permission to not even think. Just sat there for 2 weeks straight and didn't say a thing. So my vocal cords were greatly appreciative. Anyway, people were noticing on Friday I came back and did a video for the site. I think I actually did a public video as well, if I'm not mistaken. But they were like, yeah, at least you sound like you're a little bit more relaxed now, Brian. So that's always good. So a good thing, if you do fancy yourself one of these professional traders, speculators, whatever you want to call it, even we have to take a break. And it's probably good for your disposition just to put everything down, walk away, and don't even look at anything market related for a week or two, and just let your brain sort of reset. Also, too, I hate to say it, but it did remind me that number one, when I looked at my personal net worth, I could technically just retire and just live off of my savings for the rest of my life. Even though I look relatively young, I'm actually getting pretty close to the age where I could actually start collecting a pension from the Canadian government. So it did give me some food for thought. Do I really need to do this day in, day out? But it also reminded me, and I think this is the most important thing out of all of this. Why am I actually doing this? Full disclosure, everybody watching these videos should understand, there's no corporate sponsor. I don't know whether you watch on YouTube, but almost every single YouTube video these days is, and now a brief word from our sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by this, and this company. And I better speak very well of them because they're paying the bills here today. And ironically enough, and the irony of it all is, as I said, ironically enough, I don't know whether any of you are old enough to remember. I mean, I remember because I'm a student of history and I love studying history. But ironically enough, the way that this YouTube channel is going, like the direction that it's going, and social media, it's going the exact same direction that live television went when it first came on air. And any Simpsons fans out there, you love the Laramie cigarettes, smooth, and then the beer advertising. Oh well, Dove beer satisfies your Q zone. Total nonsense, quackery. I don't know whether you guys remember those references, but it definitely feels like YouTube's going down this road. I don't know what the ultimate outcome of this whole experience is. I have been doing these videos for I'm gonna live off of your tax dollars. And the only reason why I stay in this stupid communist country, Mr. Extreme, what does that say? Footy news? Are you a football fan? The only reason why I stay in Canada is because my son, of course, is severely disabled, and his annual care bill is, and now with this stupid hyperinflation, thanks Trudeau, you stupid dick, I think his annual care bill, I think it's easily six figures. If you just have two sort of drone workers, because he has to be supervised 24/7. So if you just have two drone workers, this is not even including housing, food, shelter, utilities, none of that. Just the worker drones alone. I mean, they've got to be paid the better part of 100,000 Canadian worthless dollars just to keep them on the payroll. So that's half the reason why I stay in Canada. And of course, I can't leave my son. I actually did give some serious thought about relocating down to the States, but as I said, his annual care bill, it could easily be in the six figures. And if the socialist system, and also too, which is hilarious about this, is that the socialist system also pays him a monthly income. I think it's about like $2,500. So that income it's just piling up in the bank, which is so ironic. So anyway, the long and short of it here is I take full advantage of the communist system here in this country, and I can't leave my son. So as a result, I think I'm probably stuck here in China and just got to live with it. And the irony of it all is that I've already made my money. So I don't even really care where the income tax and property taxes go, and all that kind of stuff, because I don't even participate in any of that. And like Extreme says, if anything, I'm going to start lining up and collecting my free check from the government here fairly soon. I got about 5 years left until I get my free money from those bastards. Then I'm just going to live off of my savings. I mean, I'll just make sure that the annual income from those savings are below certain tax thresholds. And as I said, you wonderful taxpayers will continue to pay Liam's bill. So anyway, welcome to communist 21st century, I suppose. But anyway, the point of this was not really to get derailed and talk about communist China, but it was to talk a little bit about why I'm actually doing these videos on YouTube. I know my business partners, of course, they are relatively young, and I think that they've got a lot of ambition and a lot of chutzpah, and I definitely think that they will do very, very well going forward in life. But you all know my story. My wife passed away basically, now 13 and a half years ago. And it was interesting. I watched a really cool YouTube documentary on a gentleman who goes to really, really terrible parts of the world. And he just tries to interview people and just sort of get the story from the ground. And I watched a beautiful documentary on a certain neighborhood in Philadelphia. And the irony of it all is the guy was saying it's only 2.5 miles away from where they actually signed the Declaration of Independence. And there are so many drug addicts there in the streets of Philly, and they're just like scattered on the streets. They look like literally like the land of the living dead kind of idea. Just stunning. They're just like dead on the ground, but they're still alive. They're just all doped up. And the gentleman there was kind of like, he had an epiphany about like 20 years ago. And he basically said, he found Jesus. Okay, fine. You can find Jesus. You can find Muhammad. You can find Buddha. You can find your lampshade. It doesn't really matter. Just the point is, can you try and make a positive difference in this world? That's the whole reason why I'm doing these videos. And I've stuck at this for 10 years with no request for remuneration whatsoever. And if anything, I have to actually take that. Oh, is that the gentleman that I was speaking about, Mr. Santinello? I think that name sounds familiar. Santinello. I think you're right there, sir. I mean, obviously, I'm not, right in the trenches. I mean, I suppose, I mean, I could take you to places in Vancouver that would make that Philadelphia place look like, hey, it's just a walk in the park. I mean, there are places in Vancouver that are exactly the same. Um, I'm trying to do just my own little thing here. I don't have a hell of a lot of skills. Um, I think over the years, I have learned how to sort of manage myself and manage my behavior. Um, I absolutely detest. It makes me sick to my stomach when I lose money. I do not like. I don't even like to spend money. In fact, this shirt that I'm wearing, my wife, she actually, when we first got together in 1992, she would raid my wardrobe and she actually loved this shirt. She used to wear it all the time. She passed away 13 years ago. And I'm still wearing the clothes. Like literally, this shirt was bought to me back in the 1980s or 90s, I think. And you're probably like, yeah, it looks like it, Brian. Get a shave, get a haircut, whatever. Um, but I absolutely hate losing money. And I love the market and I love learning from the market and I love participating in the game, but I absolutely hate losing money. So, and I was a full service stockbroker, commodities broker, options broker, financial planner, mutual fund salesman, venture capital raiser. I mean, I did everything in the stock market. Um, with the obsession that we're not going to lose money at this because I can guarantee you lose a bunch of money in this game and your career will end very quickly in this game. You cannot lose money. Don't lose money. Simple as that. So the purpose of these videos is my way to give back to the universe. Um, I don't ask for anything in remuneration. I don't think we're going to get to the point of ever asking for, in fact, I think YouTube even killed our monetization because I swear so much. I don't know. Maybe it works. I don't. I haven't. I know a lot of these other channels. You constantly see people like donating $5, $10. I remember we had that up and running a year or two ago, but I haven't seen anything along those lines since. Chris, do we still have that functionality on these videos? I don't even know. Hmm. All right. So anyway, that's there. If you feel like contributing to the cause, I would love you for it, but I'm not going to request it or demand it. Um, the question ultimately here is, can I actually make a positive difference in your people's lives? I don't know. Adam says, turn it on. So I guess we have to turn it on or something. I don't even know. Anyway, Adam, good to see you, buddy. As I said, I didn't really get a lot of interest in me visiting people. I mean, I had some people sort of say, yeah, if you're in the neighborhood, pop on by. But sorry, Adam, I never did get down to Cali there. So don't feel as though I snubbed you. I actually really kind of needed a week or two just to do absolutely nothing, and it was pretty refreshing. I'll get you, if our buddies, and it might be interesting for you to check in with your buddies next door. If they're still paying attention to the market, and this is usually where we lose people, about 6, 8 months after the previous bull cycle peak, a lot of people will completely lose interest. And of course, all the quote unquote investments that they made have gone down the toilet, and they'll just end up saying moving on to something else in life. So it'll be interesting. I made a very specific challenge to both of them. Maybe I won't name names and just give them a bit of a break. But and this was specifically why I gave them that challenge. Can I actually see you here 1 year from now? So I still fully plan to head down and crash on your couch there next February. And if anything, I kind of like doing my road trips in the winter time anyway. Summer it's too hot. So but anyway, so I definitely will be down your neck of the woods. Oh, that's good. All right. Um, And if they do raise their heads and show that they are still active and trying to implement the material that we've taught them here in the basic education program, I told them I'd buy them a nice steak dinner. I'm more than happy to. In fact, I saved a bunch of money not going. I'm on my staycation. So now I got at least a couple grand I could throw at that trip just as sort of quote unquote free money because I didn't spend that on this vacation. And I'm thinking a big tomahawk steak. I saw there was a place actually I saw advertising in Sacramento, massive tomahawk steak and all the trimmings for like $250. So, and that should feed like 3 or 4 people. So, if anything, that's the 4 of us. So, let's see what happens. Well, I said I would buy them. I didn't say that they had to buy. It was on me. Anyway, uh, you know who I'm talking to. I won't name names. I don't. Maybe I'll refrain from picking on them too directly. But if you are still watching and participating, just keep on keeping on. And if anything, like I said, Adam is an excellent role model there for you to follow. So let's just keep on kicking ass here. I do like the idea of at least doing a once a week public video. I think I'd also like to do, and so this is why we started late because I kind of threw this curveball at Chris earlier. I think what I'd like to try and do is maybe do these live broadcasts with participation from the chat. And by all means, if you have a question, feel free to post it. If you're relatively new to this channel, we don't have a lot of live viewers, but if you are relatively new, feel free to ask a question. That's the whole point of this exercise. And then maybe what I'll do is in the evening when I come back from Liam, I'll go through this video, chop out like the rants, like what I just did there for the past 10 minutes. I don't know. I think we necessarily need that in a published video. And then sort of republish it as a pre-recorded, edited video. And then maybe we can get the views of these videos up because I'm actually considering I've been doing this for 10 years. The process that I teach works. And when I see people who actually implement the process, they do extremely well. In fact, actually, when I got back, one of the very first things that I did when I was sort of getting my system back up and running, although I can never remember which screen I have this on. Hey, we're falling into the old behavioral patterns right back up again. I think it was maybe this one. Yeah. One of the very first sort of things that I put out was, this is what we do. This is what I'm actually trying to teach you. And if you want to learn how to play the game correctly, this is what you have to do. Took me probably a good 20, 25 years or so to actually put all the pieces together and be able to articulate what the process really is all about. Then the beautiful part about this is we started up this experiment 10 years ago. It's interesting how this is our 10-year anniversary. Surprised the team doesn't want to market this idea a little bit more. Maybe we should. I don't know. Maybe I'll post that in the lounge or in the marketing room. Anyway, and what I've actually found is that the people that buy into this idea right away, they always seem to do the best. I used to tell people that I'm going to teach you how the process works. I'm going to teach you how professionals approach the market, risk management, risk first approach, all that kind of fun stuff. You're here to run a small business of trading with the expectation that your business is actually going to be profitable. You'd be surprised, like 80-90% of all small businesses actually fail. So just the simple fact that TRI's been here for 10 years doing this, have no debt, We pay ourselves pretty respectable incomes on an annual basis. That's got to be a testament to the fact that we seem to be running this small business correctly. Um, but this is what we're here to learn. And what has been actually a real treat, and I have to say, one gentleman out of the UK, there's been a bunch of people out of the UK that I absolutely have fallen in love with. If I had my druthers, I'd be a globetrotter and I'd live all over the world. There's definitely people in Romania that I would love to, just go and have like an apartment or something in Romania and just hang out with the Romanians because, God, we got a ton of them around the TRI site over the years. But we had a couple, well, not a couple, quite a few people out of the UK, and one gentleman in particular, absolute sweetheart of a human, just the nicest guy you'll ever meet. Beautiful aura about him. And actually, he was the gentleman who put this image together, and he's the one who does our blog write-ups. And he actually has articulated a lot of the concepts that I teach in the program way better than I could. So, if anything, that's the good part about this is that we are building a core of people that do understand this thing called the process and do understand a lot of the macro concepts that I'm trying to convey to people. But if there was something that I was going to bring of value to this world, it's this image on the screen right here. So let's just keep trying to do this day in, day out, trying to make a positive difference in this world, just trying to do what Jojo asked me to do so many years ago. And just try and make a positive difference in all of your lives. The worst part about this, though, is there's an old expression that I learned a long time ago in the marketplace, and it is as true today as it was in that year that I learned that expression was in 1995, somewhere in there, 1995, 1996. You cannot push a chain. It is absolutely impossible to push a chain. And unfortunately, I think we are in that kind of environment right now where you cannot push. It is impossible. If the market is not a bull market, and keep in mind, most of the public, this is the kind of stuff, 35 years of experience in the marketplace. I know this just because I've lived this life forever. Most of the public loses money at this game. The people that, in fact, I do find it fascinating how people in the crypto space, they get so used to in the bull markets of 50%, 100%, 5x, 10x my money. Look at me, I'm such a baller. Oh, look how rich I am and all that kind of stuff. And then we go into a bear, and you understand this is the nature of venture capital. It goes straight up, but it also goes straight down. And a lot of them end up disappearing. Disappearing. I think that's a word. It's guys like me that we have sort of realistic expectations. I quote you stats like, if you can actually do 30% annualized compounded rate of return on your money, then you have actually beaten more than 90% of all investors ever. And that's a direct quote from a gentleman who ran one of the biggest mutual funds, Peter Lynch, years ago. The only way that I would know that is because I've been in this business forever. And I used to quote that Lynch quote, which is from 30 years ago. Nobody here alive now ever talks about that kind of stuff. And yet he's incredibly valuable information. What ends up happening, of course, is on the way up, they all get rich, and then on the way down, they all go bankrupt. But that's not what we're here to do. We're here to make money from trading. We're here to run our small business of trading with the expectation that we're not going to go out of business. So that means that, when markets move up, you have to pay yourself for your hard efforts. And then when markets move down, you better have risk-free positions established. Or if you've taken a bit of risk and the market's moved against you, you got to man up or lady up or whatever, and you got to get the hell out and obey your risk management rules, which most people in the public cannot do. Yeah, interesting comment there, Rad. I think a lot of people in the world, and the irony of it all is, I mean, it hurts as much today as it did the day that she passed. The pain will never go away. But the irony of all of that is that if she had not done what she did, I would not be speaking to any of you now. I would be living probably, I would still probably be a stockbroker, living at home with my wife and my special needs kid. And actually, I even ran a small hedge fund, if you will, with a few of my larger clients through Interactive Brokers. Then, and I was a prop crude oil trader. Actually, I did that after she passed. But I used to trade commodities all the time on my own. So. But it's so painful, and my heart goes out to anybody who has lost a loved one in their life, and that, unfortunately, that's a real life lesson that you can't learn unless you've actually gone through it. It's impossible to, and this is why I have such a hard time with organized religion. And I mean, I'm not discounting. You heard me earlier. This gentleman said that he found Jesus, and of course, he's dedicated his life. You can label it whatever you want. In fact, I would actually argue, I just call it spirit. That's all I call it. Whether it's JoJo, whether it's Joe B, who is a great site member who died of cancer while we've been on this adventure. Another gentleman, James, ironically enough, all these people started with letter J, their names. He also died of cancer, and he was the sweetest man. Absolute gem. Maybe it's my old business partners. Good old Bill. He was in his 90s, so he's definitely on the other side. Hell, might even be my old man. He passed away a year or two ago, although we didn't really have the best relationship. So, maybe it's baby Jesus. I don't know. One thing I do love about Jesus is, as Muhammad even said himself, he was the cleanest of the prophets. Um, you certainly can't. Uh, yeah. Anyway, the whole point here is I am on this mission, and this mission is to try and help you people. That's really what this is all about. Actually, if I just keep doing that and just keep trying to convey to you the process, that's my gift to all of you. So, having said that, as I said there earlier, if the market's not a bull market, there's not really much you can do about it. You can't push a chain. What I would say, and keep in mind, most of the public are sort of like, I don't think they're technically little old ladies. I would say most of the public is Joe Sixpack. That's why we label that particular risk taker Joe Sixpack, is just like a typical market participant. If a name moves against you and you're Joe Sixpack by more than 50%, probably a good idea for you to hop off, and just try and preserve your capital. A lot of people can't do that. Good part about it, if you manage this correctly and you can play these 4-year cycles, is that capital losses can be carried forward. And if you play the game over a 4-year period, then when we are in that bull cycle, you should have plenty of gains to be had, and you should have plenty of capital gain losses. If in a bear market you actually are money managers and you're booking those losses appropriately. You should have plenty of capital losses to offset capital gains, which means your tax bill should be relatively muted. Having said that, that's more like financial planner kind of talk, but, please don't consider any of this financial advice. I'm here as, if anything, I would almost like to consider this like edutainment. I think that's the word that we like to use on social media. And I would actually encourage you, especially if you're dealing in some size, that you actually do, go and maybe throw like 5-10 grand or something into a full service brokerage account just for the purpose of having a full service broker at your disposal where you can just throw the business plan that maybe you learned at TRI, all this kind of stuff. Because keep in mind, you planning what you're going to do in the marketplace and articulating specifically what it is that's going to get you to act and how much money you're going to use and all that kind of stuff. That's all, of course, vetted out through this part of learning the process. I think it's actually in your best interest to have a financial planner in your back pocket. You don't necessarily have to give me your whole account, but this is the analogy: penny wise, pound foolish. And a lot of people, I think, if anything, I think the discount brokerage industry has done really, really well on this, sort of feeding into this. Well, you can do it on your own. But as you can see, actually learning how to be a professional market participant, this is not an easy task. This is a profession that I'm actually trying to teach all of you. And I think it's actually in your best interest to learn everything that you've learned from the Beamish and then just simply sit down with, buy the financial planner a lunch sometime. They love that kind of shit. And just talk to them. Well, hey, I was sitting on YouTube and this guy, he's going to charge me $1,000 to learn how to build a plan and learn this thing he calls the process. What do you think? Do you think this is time well spent? What do you think of this process image? Does this make sense? And my hunch is they'll probably go, it's actually probably pretty good use of your time. And then if you can show them the plan that you actually learn how to build in the TRA education program, my hunch is they'll go, you know what? You're on a good track. You've articulated exactly how much money you're going to work with, what it is that you're going to be investing in, how it is that you're actually going to come into your investment decisions, how it is that you're going to manage the money that you have working. You can be a little old lady and take very, very small bets in the market and just ride them to zero if that's the case. And then, if they double, triple, quintuple, 10x, 100x, right? You're just slowly paying yourself as your account moves up in value. My hunch is the financial planner is probably going to be like, looks like you're on a pretty good track. But the point here is that this is what you're here to learn, the process. So anyway, thought I'd give you a little bit of a shill on that. And if anything, I wouldn't mind maybe afterward, I'll even sort of cut this out, see whether I can make like a little video of what it is that Brian actually does here to try and give you people value. I'm not in the business of telling you what to buy or sell. Please understand that. I will never, ever tell you you should buy this or you should buy that. I think I told you earlier, I actually do have a fairly comfortable nest egg, and because it is my nest egg and it's retirement planning, I have quite a bit of it in interest-bearing investment vehicles. For whatever it's worth, if you want to get some value out of this video from a financial planner's perspective. And what I find interesting, of course, is that as we go through these economic cycles, at the very top of the venture capital market, you get people that come out and say things like, well, this time it's different, so you should be 100% invested in equities. Then the damn fucking market rolls over and people get wiped out. And it consistently happens. And then at the very bottom of the market, Everybody says, well, equity investing and risk taking, that's not appropriate. You should be invested in conservative assets, and don't be a gambler, and just invest in index funds and mutual funds and all that kind of stuff. And of course, that's sort of like people burying their head in the sand, and not really taking responsibility for their shitty investment ideas, buying at the top of markets, like just so dumb. Um, you know, the little lesson, and this is for your cliff notes. You should all have your journals out while you're listening to me ranting away here. And if I drop these little nuggets of wisdom, you should be writing them down. But there is an old adage in the market that says you take your age, you subtract it from 100, and that should be your maximum equity exposure or risk exposure of your net worth. Well, I'm well above the over the hill marker. So that means a good portion of my capital should be in very low risk investment vehicles. So when I tell people that I'm sitting on like, $500,000 in cash and, short-term interest rate bearing instruments, they all look at me like I'm from another planet. But that's just prudent financial planning, folks. I'm sorry. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've got, hundreds of thousands parked in venture cap and risk assets. And I'd also argue too, my equity investment in TRI is also part of that risk capital. So, I have a balanced approach. But everything that I do with my own personal money is my own personal decision. I'm very interested in a company that's actually part of the Dow. They'll probably be kicked out of the Dow, but I think it's super, super cheap right now. And I'm just waiting to pull the trigger. Not going to tell you what it is. All site members know about it. Semiconductor name. Used to be a darling in the .com boom. Now you can't give the stock away. I might do a research report up on it. Actually, we did a research report up on a Chinese stock recently. And actually, I don't know whether we included it in the newsletter here today, but it's probably a pretty good example of my approach to the market. Did we include it? No, we didn't include it in here today. And the thing is, I'm not quite sure how Josh has done this blog post, so I'm a little confused. We did up actually what I would consider a very respectable research report on Bubba. Although when I went to the blog to try and get it, I think you have to get the research report through your email. So Josh did up the blog post, but we've got to play the game here. So if you want the research report, feel free. I'll even throw the link in the video YouTube chat room there. Maybe Chris can include it in the description of this video today. I don't know whether you can do that for the people here, but we did before I left, and all I'm going to say is, get yourself into this vein, and you should get the reports as they're being produced. And we're doing this free. So if anything, fantastic value for you. I mean, the only thing that we ask is if you wouldn't mind, giving us your email address so that when we do have stuff coming down the pike that you might be interested in, we can keep you in the loop. And, maybe if you're interested in joining the education program, at least you'll get a notification a new cool school term has started. Also, too, we have our dashboard. This is an ongoing project. It's been going on for about the past 5 years. But we are making some pretty good progress here, I will say. I think we had an absolutely incredible buy signal there in the stock market. And I've talked to you guys about this in the past. whenever I see the country funds go egregiously oversold on both the short term and the medium term, it does usually sort of suggest that the entire world equity market is washed out and everybody is selling, everything is down, everything is bearish. And ironically enough, when that spits out, that's actually a pretty good time to be thinking the other direction. It's very contrarian, very typical buying when they're crying, selling when they're yelling kind of signals. Having said that, I have noticed that are you going to use this signal as a timing signal to actually pull the trigger when to buy and sell? I don't know whether I really like using this. I don't really like trading off of indicators by themselves. You all know me. I want the cadence to go, show me a good trade location. That is absolutely number one. And that, of course, is getting back to that whole conversation about the process, right? You should have 3 unrelated reasons to justify you acting in the market. And location is absolutely critical. So the fact that this thing, of course, was bearish meant that, indicators, which is our second reason to justify us acting in the marketplace, the indicators were all very, very negative. And that, when we get to the point where you see things like the country funds or the S&P 500, even crypto to a certain degree. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I thought, yeah, there's crypto. So back at the end of July, we got signals that the crypto market was extremely washed out. So, if we just go look, first let's take a look at the stock market, the broader stock market. I mean, what has it done since there is basically the end of August? So, and I've also talked to you guys about this before. And, here's another thing for your journals. Write this down. This is great free content that nobody on YouTube will ever talk to you about this, but this is the free shit that makes this watching this channel so valuable. And yet, can't seem to get the viewers up about 500 views on these videos. I don't understand why. I listen to guys that just talk drivel in the market and they're just circle jerkers. Oh, go buy Nvidia, you'll get rich. Oh, okay, that makes sense. And they got like thousands of views on their videos. It makes no sense to me, other than maybe this is this whole shadow banning crap. I don't know. Of course, I have a sad history of being slightly politically incorrect. But the point of the matter here is, oh, what a surprise. You saw when those indicators started getting really stupidly oversold and the country funds were spitting out markets washed out. And look how that just trade location. They dumped it not only into a reload zone of this range right here, but this was also actually into a beautiful Fockenbaum level, 2.618 right there. I mean, absolutely textbook. You literally couldn't script this any better for trade location. And as I said, the indicator itself, we started to, what letter of the alphabet is that? Anybody should look at that and go, gee whiz, that sure looks like a W to me. It'd be interesting to see whether this actually looks like a W on a line chart. Let's see what happens. Hello, look at that. Son of a bitch. I'm staring you right in the face. I don't know whether you can see that on the YouTube video. Can you guys see this W right off the mountain man level there? So, this is trade location. Then if we want to use the breadth indicator confirmation, well, we're definitely at the end of July there. We were getting tons of signals that the market was getting completely washed out. Hell, we even had a short-term oversold signal there in the S&P 500. And look how the damn breadth indicator itself went and W'd. And that's what, August 7th? And lo and behold, pull up the old price chart. And there is August 7th right there. I mean, damn. Hey, what have we done since? Straight up. So I think you could argue trade location. We could probably also look at these kind of indicators. Oh, look at that. We got a nice little RSIW there. Look at, did Willie get stupidly oversold? Oh, Willie didn't quite get stupidly oversold on the S&Ps. Might be interesting to look at like a world equity index. So one of the reasons why I'm mentioning this specifically about the country funds, I don't know whether the US market actually sped up that really juicy, sexy buy signal. But here's another really, hey, there's Jim and Liz. Hey, guys. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. And let me know there, Jim and Liz, whether my challenge to see you next February is still on the table. And was it sage advice to just suggest to you just play it really slow, play it really cool, and just don't go and bet the farm at the top of the market when I met you last February? Oh my goodness. Well, there's a thumbs up, so I guess that was a good sign. But what was super cool, and this again, this is another testament to the dashboard that we built, is if we actually go, and one of my favorite signals in the marketplace is a key reversal, which never heard anybody in the marketplace talk about it, but it's actually a pretty powerful signal. And I thought it was fascinating. If we actually look at the system actually spits up, look at all these bullish weekly key reversals coming in here. Wow, that's pretty incredible. It's interesting how we had bearish weekly key reversals there, the end of July, but on just one stock, and then nothing since. That's kind of interesting, eh? But one thing that really jumped out at me, which I was quite surprised at, was, and I'm not quite sure. Unfortunately, this is where we get into this dashboard is still a work in progress. It's remarkable how long it's taken to get this damn thing working. But for some reason, and I have no idea why, I don't see the ETFs here. But we did, and this actually, I was quite surprised by this. But we did, maybe it was the weeklies. I don't know. Let's see. We did have a very powerful weekly key reversal signal come in on the Hong Kong stock market of all places. And unfortunately, I absolutely hate totalitarian dictatorships. I hate communism. I mean, you want to talk about hate speech, right? In my country, you can actually literally get thrown in jail now for hate speech. So you better make damn sure not to make any racial hate comments, although some absolute loser, we won't name names, has literally gone and increased the population of Canada by 25% in his little short tenure that he's been in office here. And almost all of these people are coming from one very specific region in the world. Yeah, you got to be damn careful because you're not allowed to say, excuse me, we don't need any more of those people. Can we have a diversified population, please? You better not start talking like that. But anyway, I don't think you can get in trouble in this world for saying I hate totalitarian dictators. I hate communism. I hate corruption of our society by the 1%. I haven't named names there. And I hate to say it, but in a weird sort of way, communism is actually catering to like an oligarch class in a weird sort of way. It's not communist. And the history of Russia and the Soviet Union is a really good example. They used to call them commie czars. If you're old enough to remember that term, then you're probably old enough to start thinking about collecting a pension now, eh? Anyway, so I have a very, very hard time endorsing investing in a country like China because I absolutely hate communist dictatorships. And frankly speaking, the company that the team, and I hate to say it, but it does look like it's a half decent investment idea. But even the company that we're interested in is Baba. Basically, the company was stolen by the CCP from the original owner and developer of the company And nobody seems to say boo about all this. I don't quite understand that, but that's the way it goes. Well, but under the communist system extreme, I'm not stealing. I'm just, hey, just following the rules. What a load of horseshit it all is, eh? it's and like, don't get me started on this whole. I hope you all realize there's really no such thing as capital gains. What actually happens like, why do you think the stock market is moving up right now? Do you think it's because stocks are more valuable? No. Actually, because the currency, the purchasing power of the currency is collapsing. And that is done very specifically, and it's done on purpose through the issuance of more of these currency units. And that's how this debt-based society continues the Ponzi scheme. And actually, somebody even clearly articulated that, and on social media, it was a guy I like, Clyde Do Something, is his YouTube channel, and he had the gentleman on. It was very controversial, and the Canadian government, of course, is trying to basically excommunicate him. They would love to try and somehow throw him into jail. But basically, he's saying that the whole Canadian pension plan, it is nothing more than a Ponzi scheme. I hope you realize that, extreme. It is a Ponzi through and through. And why are they increasing the population of Canada by 25% in a 3 or 4 year period? Millions of these people coming in. It's to keep the Ponzi scheme going, right? The only way a Ponzi works is if you have new people that come in at the bottom. And the worst part about this Ponzi is the new people coming at the bottom, they are legally required to buy into the Ponzi, i.e., pay taxes. They are legally required to keep the Ponzi going. Like, that's incredible, isn't it? And keep in mind, this was all put together by the banksters in 1913. So this whole Ponzi scheme has been going for over a century now. It's the most beautifully orchestrated scam in the world, in probably world history. And every single one of these Western nations is in on it. I mean, God, you see what's going on in England right now. I mean, I don't see any reason why that's not going to happen in North America. And I tell you, I mean, I would make the argument it's happening in China right now. So who do you get angry at? It's a very well orchestrated machine. And the worst part about this is that it's so well orchestrated, they even have all of us conned into calling this inflation. Well, what the hell is inflation? Oh, but let's put it another way. We are going to continually print more money, and the growth of the money supply will grow exponentially, whether you like it or not. So based on that simple fact, there really is no such thing as capital gains. And I find it hilarious, like in my country, for instance, your primary residence, because they knew how corrupt this shit is, they actually made it so, okay, let's not fuck over the people that actually buy and own homes. So what we're going to do is we'll say that if you actually have a primary residence, it's the home that you live in, it's going to be exempt from this capital gains bullshit crap that they're loading up on us, because they know it's a total fraud. But like stock market, you think that the stock market is going up because these companies are really more valuable? Sorry, it's not the case. And I've spent endless rants showing you guys over the years all the fun images about the Dow Industrials, and you can literally see and I suppose I can show you it here now. I think I have it, mind you. Yeah, I put away all the bookmarks and stuff, so I don't know whether I can actually see this anymore. But anyway, yeah, see, I always do this, and then I get off on a tangent, and 10, 15 minutes later, I've lost half of your guys' attention. So I'm not even going to go down that road. Okay, so what I just wanted to mention here was recently we had actually a bullish Q reversal, and I guess it was on the dailies, but we had a bullish Q reversal on the Chinese stock market in Hong Kong. And I was like, wow, that's a surprise. But given the breadth indicators readings, although yeah, these were all pretty recent. Well, it's 31st. What the hell was that signal? I remember I looked at it the other day and I was like, oh wow, that was surprising. Completely missed that. Anyway, I don't see it on here. I'm not quite sure. Of course, I probably should be a little bit better prepared when I do this. But the point here was that I just wanted to show you, one Chinese stock in particular that we are actually long. We did up our fun little research report, although here we go with Brian trying to figure out where the hell he has all this stuff. So as they say, the more things change, the more they stay exactly the same. Okay. Damn it. Oh, I guess we're over here. Come and get the research report. I would show you the report, but I'm not quite sure how to get it. I go here and I've got to log in. I don't know. Maybe I have to. Well, yeah, I'll do that later. Hey, you go get the report yourself. But anyway, what I wanted to show you, and maybe what we'll do is we'll pull up a trading view chart here. Maybe that's the best thing for me to do over here. There it is there. So this is the stock that we most recently got all excited about. I just thrown together this quick illustration. Hopefully you can understand. This is a really good illustration of coming in and buying down markets. This is free information for all of you. It's fascinating how nobody in the public is talking about this. If we just do something simple like a 50% retracement, this is WD GAN 101 out the butt. Don't overthink this stuff. If anything, half of the reason why people fail at this game is that they just don't respect these time-tested, simple rules. So we should expect at some point down the road that we should trade back to that 50% level. That's just WD GAN 101. And you can see that's 100 and what? $190. God damn. So, if you come in here and buy at 70, $80, there's probably a pretty good chance you can double your money. The trade that we have on in particular, I won't go into the details. It's a bull call spread, and it'll produce about 350% total return if we actually go to our profit objective, which is perfectly fine by me. And I think what I want to do over the next maybe year or two is just simply concentrate on these very simple trades and just show you in the stock market how you can use the options and bull call spreads, which is a very, very low risk trade because you're buying one call and selling another call a little bit higher up. Pretty cheap. How you can participate in pretty expensive stocks. The stock's like $70, $80. And still make some fantastic percentage rate of returns. So this is the name that we bought, and hopefully you can see on the lower time frames. This was you saw the bigger reload zone off of this huge, massive range, going all the way back to the IPO of the stock. And then you can even just see this past year or so the range. So this actually set up just an absolutely incredible buying window here. And of course, Brian, he loves his weekly W's. And really, if you are interested in crypto, it's the same logic. Nothing changes about this. When you see these big honking W's on the weekly price charts, you better start paying attention. Did any of you step up and actually buy this weekly W? I doubt it. What is interesting too, this is actually a pretty good example. It's not an outright key reversal, but it is one hell of a bullish engulfing bar. Rawr! So the good part about it is the trade right now is already up about 25, 30% for us because it's a bull call spread. It's just options. I don't know where the hell this thing's going, but interesting how, that buy came in right through that window where the breadth indicator was telling you, if you are a speculator in the marketplace, I mean, if you want to make money from trading, while everybody and their brother was going, oh my God, the sky's falling, it's the end of the world. You actually had to have the balls to step up and buy there. Did you? I don't know. I'll tell you, the one way that makes stepping up and pulling the trigger, while everybody else is, of course, pulling their hair out and freaking out and expecting everything to go to zero, is to learn the process. Right? Where the hell is our little process image? That's this part. So, I want to find some sort of system that I know that works, good 60, 70% of the time. Buying weekly W's works pretty darn good. I've done this setup so many times I could probably do it in my sleep. But now in this particular part of this cycle, we're sort of in here. So I've gone and put this may be about 7.5% of the equity in this particular account that we funded into this trade. I'm going to take a Joe 6-pack approach. And of course, if you're ever trading options, there's a time-tested rule. Here's another little tidbit. Hopefully you have your journals out. Free information. Hit the like button, subscribe, ring our bells, or whatever you're supposed to do. How can we get this information out? Brian's teaching you how to behave in the marketplace, and he's not charging you a fucking penny. Why don't we have 10,000 views on these videos? I don't get it. But anyway, point of the matter here is, if you ever play options, remember I was an options broker. So I used to do this for a living. And I used to, if you lose money for clients on a regular basis as a broker, you're not going to have a brokerage business. So one of the time-tested rules in options trading is, if it goes against you 50%, get the fuck out and just walk away and just lick your wins. And remember, on this particular BABA trade, I'm looking for 400% return on my money. Yeah, let's call it 300%. So you do the math. If you're right only half of the time, half of your trades get stopped out at 50% loss, but the other half produce 400% returns. Are you making money? Is your small business of trading profitable? You should know the answer to that. But the point of the matter here is, the only way that you can step up and actually have the balls to step into the fray when you see an image that looks like this is you have to have a plan. I said, yeah, I mean, I don't like China at all. If anything, this is a great testament, Richard, to, and keep in mind, yeah, I mean, it's a bull call spread. And if anything, as an investor, Richard, let me ask you this question for you. What does Brian actually think people's opinions are worth in the marketplace? This is the worst part about all of this, Richard. And you've heard this before. And if anybody wants to try and help Richard here, because you know the answer, write it down in the comments. What does Brian think people's opinions are worth, including Brian's? This is the worst part about this, Richard, and it's the truth. Again, I'm speaking the truth to you. I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. And this is half of the reason why CNBC works the way that it does. If you actually listen to most of the people that go on CNBC, maybe they're right 50% of the time. Maybe they're right a little bit more. Who knows? But man, they're never right 100% of the time. That's for damn sure. So can anybody help Richard? What does Brian think of people's opinions? And sadly, even Brian's opinion. What's the worth? Adam, you know the answer to this. What's the worth of Brian's opinion? Remember, I told you earlier, everybody, and this is, I guess this is just a big rant fest today here. But, I told everybody, this is the value that you're going to get out of listening to me. Not And I told you too, I don't even give a shit what the hell you buy and sell in the marketplace. And I'm not going to tout one thing over another. I'll tell you what I'm buying and selling, but I'm not going to pound the table. You must buy this. Can nobody help Richard out here on the YouTube channel? That's surprising. Adam, you know the answer to this. What is Brian's opinion worth? What is an opinion is the word there? Chris, you tell me. I know you know the answer to this, and just be nice and loud and boisterous. What is Brian's opinion worth? It's a brutal reality. He's 100% right. Now, what is absolutely priceless in this game? And this is the hardest part for all of you to learn. Can anybody answer this? And I'm surprised. You got 53 people sitting there. Not a single person is answering my questions here on YouTube. Come on, guys. You know that on the live broadcast, you are here to participate. This isn't just a passive watch. You can watch this after the fact. That beard? Is the beard worthless? Hey, is that any? Is that my any big? Is that really you? Wow, that would be cool. I think I remember you. Last time I think I saw you, you had a little beard. I don't know whether that's my same innie though. Is that you? Is that my innie big? You son of a bitch. Oh God. Hey, you just made my day, man. You just made my day. God, I've been thinking about you so much, man. So opinions, not much. You're absolutely right, Richard. And you don't like the go. And actually, this is a very. It's actually a Dutch expression. It's called a Van Dyke. Why? Because the Dutch have a really hard time growing a lot of facial hair. I don't know whether you noticed from Sjord. Sjord never has a beard. So the best that we Dutch can do, and I'm half Dutch, is we can do Van Dyke. Oh, look at that. Now they're chiming in. I guess there must be a delay on YouTube or something. But yeah, I hate to say it, and I'm sorry, everybody, but opinions are kind of worthless. It sucks. Now the cool part about it is that we're not here to teach you to follow somebody's opinion. Like I said, I don't even really care whether you buy or sell anything that I buy or sell. I don't care. What I do care is I want you to learn this. And what is all of this trader life cycle? What is this all about? This is all about identifying what does work in the marketplace and doing that. Nothing. Oh, okay. But if anything, this was a session here today to try and really drive home. Well, it's the process. It's not necessarily self-education, Richard. I mean, TRI is a great place. I mean, we got 36 different modules in our education program, and every single module is going to teach you something about the market. Hell, on Friday, we had one of our day trader OGs come in, and the very last module that we have in our level 3 program is talking about trading with the DOM, which I don't like beginners even looking at the DOM. But using like TPO and volume profile and counters ratios, which they call it on one particular crypto site. And that's extremely advanced trading shit. Yeah, that's right, Lucas, right? We want to follow an algorithmic approach. If this and that, then we act. And so the whole point of this BABA trade is, trade location. If the market is down at the bottom end of its trading range, is this market down at the bottom end of its trading range? I think so. On a weekly basis. And the cool part about this is you could argue this is like a monthly basis. Then is the market at the bottom of the weekly trading range? There's your weekly trading range. Yes. Am I Are you tall like you are? No, I'm not that tall. Are we in, and now let's change this to a daily chart. Or were we in a daily trade location? I mean, talk about trade location. Holy crap on a stick. And then, I suppose we could probably pull up indicators here. Let's go back to our weekly chart because keep in mind, I bought a long-term position on this trade. So did we find indicators here in divergence as we were making lower lows here? Was Willie stupid? Did the MACD histogram actually go and div out here? Yes, yes, and yes. So we have indicator confirmation. And then finally, do we have price structure? I mean, can you see W's? I mean, so, and actually on the internet, write this one down too, if you could. A lot of people on the internet, they say, and actually probably in the trade, not internet, but trading circles, trade what you see, not what you think or what your opinion is. So ironically enough, when I saw that we were down at the bottom end of the trading range and multiple trading ranges, and then I looked at the indicators and I saw that they were going into divergence. And I see things like OBV is actually moving to higher highs here. And then I see things like W's and I see things like bullish engulfing bars. And then, like I said, the Hong Kong fund, which kind of surprised me. But in a weird sort of way, I guess it kind of makes sense. Who can tell me what is this candle called? Remember, I had made reference to this, and our screeners pointed this out. I'm not quite sure why I couldn't show you this. Looks like it was July. Whoa, actually, that's a while ago. So July 8th, the week of July 8th. What is that one bar called? Do we teach that at TRI? If you don't know what this is it in your best interest to get your butt into the school and learn how to trade like a professional? I mean, I'm shocked that after all these years, nobody is talking about key reversals. That's what that signal is. This is off of the Hong Kong fund. Now, why would this maybe be happening? And interestingly enough, I don't know whether you guys have noticed, but there's actually talk that Winnie has been deposed. I don't know whether you heard. I mean, they had a palace coup in Washington, D.C. recently. Could they have had a palace coup in Beijing recently? It is kind of interesting that Winnie has been kind of disappeared lately. I don't know. But the point here is that this key reversal signal, it will actually fire buy on a move through 1604. So ironically enough, that signal hasn't even come in yet, but it sure as hell looks like the market's trying to come in. And would that make a W in price? You bet your bottom dollar. And you tell me, is this at the bottom end of the trading range? I mean, this is basically prices we haven't seen since 2012. Yeah, I'd say that's near the bottom end of the range. And you see the similarity between this potential W coming in and this potential W coming in. Looks pretty similar. And then, like I said, just drill right in on the short term. This is a weekly price chart, remember? If I go back to the daily chart, oh yeah, look at all these higher highs and higher lows. Is the indicators in divergence? Sure looks like it to me, making lower lows, but the indicators making higher lows. Was Willie stupid? Yeah, looks like it was. So this, I think, is more a commentary that the trade setups are coming in. And sometimes in this world, and this is the ugly part. This is the ugly, ugly, ugly part of capitalism. Do you think capitalism gives a fuck about totalitarian dictatorships? Any of you ever watched the movie Schindler's List? There were a lot of capitalists that did very, very well through the Nazi regime, which is fascist, but it's not a hell of a lot of difference between a communist dictator and a fascist dictator. So ironically enough, you could actually make the argument that this is also, by the way, here's another great learning piece for all of you, free information. hit the like button, subscribe, have your journals out. Who can tell me what is the name of this pattern? When you see a V bottom, then the market comes back down and then it puts in a W right against that V bottom. Is there a specific name? Do traders specifically look for this pattern? Obviously, if I ask that question, you know what the answer is. Thank you, Nori. So this is more a function of trade what you see, don't trade your opinion. So I don't know, Richard. I agree with you. I absolutely hate totalitarian dictatorships. I absolutely hate, people who stifle free speech. I absolutely hate that. I hate it with a passion. This is half the reason why I hate the leader of Canada right now. The guy's acting like a little fucking dictator. So what are you supposed to do? If anything, this is the one good part about Fjord is that he's pretty much politically agnostic. I just want to make money. He's kind of like, I really like the fundamental story on this thing. And gee whiz, they're big. And this is Hong Kong, right? But let's go back to Baba. They're basically giving this thing away. This was the IPO price. So you're basically coming in and buying a Baba at less than the IPO price. What? Really? And oh, by the way, you can see where the base of this market is. So we're basically just coming in and buying the base. Is this as a professional risk taker, not talking political, just a risk taker? Is this a risk that I should take as a professional speculator in the marketplace? The answer, unfortunately, is yeah, it is. Now, the interesting thing about this is we might find that orange toupees get elected in November. And the very first thing that he does is he outlaws the ownership of Chinese stocks by American citizens, and this thing gets delisted. I'm not going to comment on whether this trade is a lock. It's guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed in this business. I can absolutely guarantee you that. Ironic. But is this a risk that I should take? And according to my trading plan, when I have location, I have indicator confirmation, I have price structure, I have very realistic upside objectives, and I have a risk threshold. Like I said, 50% risk on these options trades, live with the results. I got to take the trade. So anyway, there you go. The irony of it all, and this is what I think is going to happen here, is they're ramping the market up. And of course, the people that are in power, we could have a whole conversation about how stunningly corrupt the political system is in the United States of America. And of course, China does, same thing. I won't say for a moment that we have an ideal political system. What I will say is this is sort of like Winston Churchill. It's horribly corrupt. The oligarchs run our society, and these political operatives only work for the oligarchs. Don't kid yourself. And actually, I put out a really cool tweet from I think it was, is his name John Stewart? I think that's what his name is. And he's a rah Democrat. But what was so cool about this was he totally tore apart. This guy's a billionaire. This guy right here saying we as Democrats should hate billionaires. And then the next guy that stands up on the stage, look at him, he's as big as a fucking bus. He's a billionaire. So, Stewart, of course, comes in and lays into him on that. But, it was super cool. This is almost disgusting about how bad this is. She comes on, talks about equality and, women should be treated well and, Me Too movement and all that. And then who do they have to come in and do the keynote speech? To send everybody off? One of the biggest womanizers in fucking U.S. American history. So it's total hypocrisy. Incredible hypocrisy. So would it be logical that the hypocrisy, they're going to try and bid this thing up and make American Joe Six-Pack feel as though, hey, everything's awesome, stock market's booming, economy's roaring, the Fed's going to cut interest rates. Oh, what a surprise. How convenient. The Fed's going to come in there and cut interest rates and sort of relieve everybody of all their financial burdens right into this political event. Do you think this is by accident? It's disgusting how corrupt this all is. So the problem there, though, of course, and I suppose this is probably good full circle kind of thing. I don't think that the Democrats like crypto very much at all. I suppose it would be remiss for me not to talk about crypto here. I've just spent basically the past hour here ranting. But hey, I hope you got some value out of all this. Let's spend the next 15, 20 minutes talking crypto. And just sort of what I see here in the short term. I gave you a nice sales pitch there. And like I said, we have beautiful research report. And hell, you can even get the newsletter if you want. Sign up for our newsletter service, totally free. I think this is an excellent sort of summary of the market. Give you a pretty good idea of what sort of econs, political events, what sort of the broader sort of weekly commodity trend push looks like. If we were following Baba on this, I definitely would say that Baba would be on this sort of attractive sort of sector. If anything, what we should probably see is if we pull up the country funds on this, we should probably see that Hong Kong and China probably are under the attractive. Where's our country funds? There's our country funds. Now, what do we have here? We actually had on the country funds a bunch of neutral. Actually surprised we don't have that Hong Kong there actually flashing. We have Hong Kong. There it is there. Coming in as a 4. So that must mean that it must be weak, but it just hasn't officially turned back up and the moving averages have crossed bullishly yet. So there is that big honk and key reversal signal that we talked about. Probably this thing fires, turns into like a 5 if this thing starts turning back up here right now. But the point here is a lot of these country funds, well, look at that. Both China and Hong Kong are both, they're getting attractive. Interesting also Indonesia of all places. Anyway, we won't get off on that tangent right now. What I would just simply say is, if we look at the breadth of the market, that sales pitch that I gave you right at the very beginning of the show here, and I guess that's what this was, man, what an incredible buy signal there. And if anything, I went away on vacation, and if anything, I would prefer to see the market slowly work its way back up to the top end of the range. Here when I'm on vacation, so I don't have to worry about people like suicide hotlines and all that kind of shit that bothers me immensely when that stuff happens. So the stock market here, I wouldn't necessarily call this a top, because keep in mind the breadth indicators, we're only sitting at 60, right? We'll get overbought when we're all the way up here at 80. And if anything, gee whiz, look at what they're doing here. They're potentially putting in a W just here in the short term. And then if we actually look at the histogram, are we sitting aggressively overbought on the short and medium term in the stock market? No. We are actually, it's interesting how quickly on the world equity stage, we've quickly flipped back over to bullish on the medium term and actually getting a bit overbought. So that's a bit concerning, but good to see that on the short-term basis, we're not overbought. So I think this still has some room to run up. If anything, what I wouldn't be surprised is we just had Jackson Hole and Powell's speech about how, well, maybe we're not going to raise interest rates anymore. Maybe we even going to cut interest rates. We'll still see. September's still quite a ways away. So if the stock market does go booming to new highs, I find it very difficult to believe that the Fed will actually cut rates. What I did find interesting, this is an interesting full circle. So here is Jerry's Jackson Hole event right here. And you notice that this is a 4-hour chart. We were actually up at technical price objectives. We had filled in price gaps, AB equals CD. So it did kind of make sense. We're at the top end of the range of the US dollar index, that things were looking a little toppy. And if we look at the momentum indicators, you see that RSI was overbought. We were in divergence. Willie was stupid. blah, blah, blah. You know how this goes. We then M'd out. And interestingly enough, if we do a Foggenbaum off this big M, oh, interesting, 2.618 right here. And you notice that, on previous moves up, although I don't know whether I have it on here or not, but well, anyway, let's just keep moving on here. We've come down into that 2.618. We've also, if you do an Alt AB equals CD, boom, 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 we hit a 1.618. And then also too, if we think about horizontal support and resistance, we're starting to come into areas here where if this is still a bull, I don't know whether I would actually call this a bull because we never did break out through these highs. Let's call this a range. If this is still a range, then we're probably going to see the market find some sort of base here. As I said, I think this was more a function of everybody was waiting for the Americans to finally say that, yeah, it looks like interest rates need to come back down in the States. And they were selling off the US dollar in anticipation of that event. That has now happened, but keep in mind that the Fed doesn't actually officially meet until like the 19th, way over here. It's somewhere over in this area here. I don't have it specific. I have it over here. So anyway, the point here is that the Fed meets right on this initial eclipse event window here. So interestingly enough, my commentary recently about something like Bitcoin is I actually think that it's still just stuck in a range. I might make the argument that the stock market for the time being, until we actually break out through these highs, is stuck in a range, but it does look to me like they want to push this thing up. I think that they want to push this thing up. We're probably going to go after these highs, the old adage, and then we went after the stops. That wouldn't surprise me. If we actually look at the daily chart on something like corn, and actually, you know what, before we leave this conversation, something that's very important that's going on here on Bitcoin is you can see that the weekly moving averages are threatening to turn over negative. And if they do actually turn over negative here, that is a very bearish event. Just keep in mind, usually these moving averages, they move very slowly. So there was this one here. It was negated here. Okay. But you notice, look at this cross here. And we just went down until we crossed back bullish here. We go back in history, and I think that this is really more where we are right now. I get the impression that we're doing something like this right now, and we have to go through something like this. Ironically enough, this is just nothing more than just a technical cleanup. Big rally off the lows, then a pullback to test the lows, then an ultimate breakout in the bull market higher. I might argue that really this is just on a much grander scale, but it's basically the same thing. We came down and we just briefly kissed the 38.2 first stop target. So that's good. And this is good old Colin and his pump chaser zone. But this is lower highs and lower lows, folks. So you can't really call this like a base. And we always say that wicks and tails like to be eaten. And at some point down the road, we're going to have to come back and eat that tail. This is nothing more, in my opinion, than just a dead cat bounce. We are dead cat bouncing up. And if anything, I think, Mr. Fink, you noticed that last year, and I think it was, right. It was last summer. So yeah, I thought it was, I guess it was sort of right in here. You notice that we threatened to roll over here, and you can see how the moving averages almost broke down, right? They actually did break, and then they quickly brought the market back and recaptured those moving averages. Now, the interesting thing with that is that there were 3 different moving averages here, all acting as support. Right, this is the 200 period weekly moving average. This is the 13. This is the 30. So this was a hell of a battle here. And what I always tell people is you want to let the market break. Then you want to get bearish structure below the, whether it be a trend line or moving averages, and then you get your signal. So you can see if this 3-bar fractal had fired and we had gone through that low, oh boy, all hell would have broken loose. But they stopped the bear slide and cranked it back up to new highs, and away we go. Did they just come in and save this market here? I don't know. You can see this bar made a new high. Then they brought this massive down bar, but it actually turned into basically almost like a I'm not going to call it a dragonfly doji, and it's not really a hammer. And I don't know what I would call that candle. It's almost a doji, but anyway, this I think is a very good looking doji. So you can see that if we had actually gone and come in here and actually failed through this doji low here, that would have been an inside bar failure reversal. And that I think would have been a really good sell signal right there. But you notice this week, they opened it up. They looked very briefly lower and then just boom, straight back up. So somebody clearly did not want this thing to break down here. So we'll see whether we can recapture this moving average. The interesting thing is 13 EMA on this weekly chart is below the 30 SMA on the weekly chart. So this is sitting bearishly. It is incumbent on this market to put in some sort of goddamn W and actually issue a buy signal here before any of us can get bullish. What I would say here, though, is on the weekly basis, we had this bar, and this bar. They are a 3-bar fractal, and this is an inside bar reversal. So as I said, the fact that they broke this doji bars high is actually very encouraging if you are a bull. And really, I think the signal, just simply put, is you're going to buy the breakout of the doji bar, and you're simply going to risk to the bottom of the doji bar. I think that is the trade. The interesting thing is this is off of a weekly basis. That's probably too much risk for most traders to take. This would be maybe like a Joe six-pack, keep it simple. I don't like the trade here, though, at all for Joe six-packs. I think this is a bit dangerous. You're kind of like, this is the pushing a chain kind of analogy here. I think that the tide is against us right now. The tide is flowing out. We have this huge political event coming up here. We've got eclipses coming up. We have the Fed first interest rate increase in 10 years or something coming up here. There's a lot of unknowns. So to blindly go in and buy a weekly chart signal like this, that's not something I would do. But I do empathize with people who are interested off of maybe a lower time frame. So the daily chart, I think, this is that doji bar. And then if we do something like break this down to like a 4-hour chart, I think you actually can see the signal. Let's see if I have it. I think I have it, unfortunately, on my computer out in the living room. But this might be it. Let's see. Do I have this here? What time is it? I got 5 minutes. We're going to have to do the question, I guess, tomorrow because we just don't have enough time here today. Sorry, folks. Let's go bot setup. So we did 33. We did not go beyond 66. So that's valid. I did see somebody on the TRI site come in here and go, I'm going bullish long. I'm all in here. This is so bullish. Oh my God, I got to buy. And I'm like, let's just wait for a setup. Just, give us 3 reasons to justify taking the risk. And then, give us sort of levels that, okay, we'll buy against here. We'll work our stops against here. And at least that way we can frame our behavior. So I think that was the important thing here, that you just simply had to wait for this to set up. And notice, lower highs and lower lows, lower highs and lower lows. And all of a sudden, hey, look at that. We stopped making lower highs and we started making higher lows. So I do like the idea that if you were a trader, right, you have a 4-hour trade setup that comes in on a move through this 59.33. Hell, you even have a beautiful little inside bar, Horami bullish bar, nice cute little W. 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows, 4 lows. So I got lots of lows to risk against. You can see that we ran up. Move your stop to scratch on this candle here. Woo! This is probably the most important event out of this whole trade, because at this point you shouldn't lose any money now on this trade. Your stop should be down here now. And you see that through the weekend on this pop here, they hit move stop to trailing. So I think anybody who did take this setup here, you're long from down here. I like the idea that, yeah, I'm going to put my stop just below there. And if I do get stopped out, well, I'll just pocket that nice, cute little profit. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good looking little trade. I'd also say, but at the same time too, keep in mind that there's the top. And there's our bought price objective. And you notice that really all this is maybe what this is going to do is carve out some sort of massive inverted head and shoulders, which I could very easily see. Come back up to the neckline, come back down to the shoulder, and then if this really is a bull, away we go. So I could understand the bot people that went long off of this level. They're probably looking to take profits on a test of this high. And then also too, notice that, oh, gee whiz, all this will be is just a revisit of old shorting levels. And you might even argue we're nowhere. Remember, I told you before that I cannot get bullish. And I remember specifically saying this to all of you in the public. I cannot get bullish of Bitcoin, like rah, bull. This is a new bull. Let's fucking rock and roll. I can't get bullish of this thing until we actually go and W out on the other side of this prevailing downtrend. So really all that I'm seeing here right now, and I'm sorry, I don't want to rain on your guys' parade. I like this, this lower time frame trade setup. I like it. But all this is just basically a rally off the bottom end of the range looking to test the top end of the range. How often do markets range? Does anybody know the answer to that? If you don't know, get your ass into our goddamn education program and learn this stuff. So really, this is doing business as usual. There's nothing shocking here at all. But at the same time, too, had you missed this lower time frame entry down here, and I think the trade signal was right there. Probably if we look at all our indicators and stuff, this was probably Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This was actually where Jerry said, all right, we're going to get ready to cut rates. So you can actually argue that the market was even anticipating that ahead of time. But if you didn't get in on the trade there, then I think you're coming to this trade very late, buying up top here. And if we look at things like momentum indicators, Willie technically is stupid right now. I teach people on the site, if Willie is stupid, just leave it alone. Let the market work itself back down and get out of that stupid condition. RSI is getting overbought. You can see how MACD is actually moving into bearish divergence. It hasn't confirmed yet, but any kind of price weakness here, that will confirm that bearish divergence. You better be careful, people. So that's my summary of what I see happening with Bitcoin. So to finish this conversation off, I mean, we could talk altcoins. I do see a lot of cute little bottoms coming in on altcoins. But if I look at the total market cap of crypto here, and this is excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's probably the best way to look at the crypto market, sort of the broader perspective. The momentum indicators, they're not really overtly bullish. V bottom, V bottom, V bottom, the whole damn thing. This all looks like a bull flag, right? So, same sort of thing. This is a daily chart. If we go down to that 4-hour chart, there's that same bullish bot set up off of the altcoin market. And I do even remember on Friday, I think in the public broadcast, I said, it looks to me like we're going to have a fairly friendly next week or two in the market if these bull flags fire. And this is the same logic as you saw on the Bitcoin. So you can see off of the 25 level, this double bottom set up very nicely. 1 lows, 2 lows, 3 lows. You got plenty of lows to work with. You got a nice downtrend line broken. So I wouldn't fault anybody but lean long this. But am I expecting this to be a new bull market? Hell, there's the bot objective, and it's up against that high right there. This is the same thing as Bitcoin. This to me looks like inverted head and shoulders. There's your neckline. We should probably make some sort of and we can't really turn bullish here until we get this move, and ideally we'd like to see this level broken. then we get a pullback, then we get bullish structure, and away we go. And interestingly enough, if you're a fan of that ICT guy, then a break of this would be that market structure shift. And then he likes to, well, no, I'm not going to speak for him. I'm going to say once I see this, and I've been studying this for a while, and I think it makes sense, I like to hunt mountain man. So interestingly enough, I don't think we pull back to here. Keep in mind, for this inverted head and shoulders to be legitimate, we can actually correct all the way back down to here. But I think that this shoulder is probably going to come in around that 61.8 there, which would make sense because all they're going to do is they're just going to retest this original bottoming level down in here. So that's the broader crypto market. The only sort of setup that I have working right now was, of course, and I've shown you guys this repeatedly, ETH did have just an absolutely beautiful textbook top. I tweeted it out. If you're here to actually learn how to be a professional trader, for God's sakes, this is what you have to learn. If you can't learn this from just watching these free videos, get your butt into the education program. That's the whole point of the education program, is to teach you how to trade all this stuff. So this was absolutely cliche top. You couldn't have scripted this any better. Not a big surprise. You can see we let two go. Buy one of them back at 2-to-1. Move your stop to scratch on the remainder, so you can't lose any money on the remainder. We've already made the money on this trade, and now we just have this runner working, and who knows what the hell's going to happen here. That same sort of logic of the Bitcoin, I would not be surprised if they actually ramp this thing up and go after that high. And that would be, it's kind of a different looking chart, but that would, I guess, sort of be like shoulder, neckline, head, shoulder, something like that. And that sets the base for the next bull. Maybe. Pure conjecture right now. Absolutely no. Remember, my opinion is worthless. My setup is absolutely priceless. And Jim and Liz, this is what you're here to learn how to identify. Can you learn how to identify reload short zones, bearish momentum divergences, M's in price? Short that, risk against these highs, take profits on half the position at 2-to-1, move your stop to scratch. In this case, I've moved my stop. I'm using the 3 high-low method, which we teach in our level 3 program. I'm just going to simply count backwards. That high, that high, that high. That's where my stop has to be now. If we go in M out and we make lower highs, then I'll just slowly move my stop along. It works really, really well to keep you in the trade and keep you out of the noise. And then, as I said there a moment ago, this is the higher time frame participant, right, off our daily charts. I would not have a problem if you were like, well, Brian, this is too slow for me. I think that because this is a range, and you can see how big this range is. There's the top end of the range. There's the bottom end of the range. If we just put on good old 50% rules, by definition, we should bounce to 50% level. That's WD GAN. I showed you that earlier. So if we actually take this thinking and we drill down to a lower time frame, well, what a surprise. There's actually a bullish setup working off of the lower time frames. So there is that bullish bot that I showed you on Bitcoin working, and you can see its price objective. Interestingly enough, the market is actually saying here, it doesn't even expect to get up through these highs on ETH, which I do find fascinating. Remember, we've got our stop sitting just above these highs right here, right? I think that's where we said this stop was. It's right above here. And that's the high from 22nd of July. Yeah, 22nd. So we've got our stop all the way up top here on the runner. I actually think, just like Bitcoin, looks to me like they're pushing this thing higher here in the short term. If you had the balls to take the trade, well, again, we're not here to trade opinions. We're here to trade setups. And holy shit, look at the time. Okay, I got to get out of here, guys. So I think I'm just going to leave the video at that. Hopefully you all have a pretty good idea of what I'm expecting out of crypto. It does look to me like they're taking this market up. And as the same thing with the stock market, it does look to me like they're taking this thing higher. And if we look at things like the breadth indicator, that does not look like a short to me now. It doesn't look like a screaming buy. And, if we use things like BABA, I don't want you going in and buying the market here. There's the reload zone. There's the weekly W breakout. And oh, by the way, we bought on this pullback in here. There's the damn fucking price now. I don't want you buying way up there. And oh, by the way, the bull call spreads have moved up like 20, 30% from where we bought them. So there's no way in hell I want you buying now. So unfortunately, what this means is, and I'm sorry, folks, but if you don't know how to play this game, get your butt in the school program and we will teach you how to play the game. But you've missed the trade. It's as simple as that. All right. Gonna have to leave the rants at that. Sure hope you've enjoyed the conversation that we had today. We never did talk about the broader crypto market and some of the concerns. You know, Chris did want me to talk a little bit about the Telegram guy is been arrested. Sadly, this isn't a good thing for everybody that loves crypto and sort of freedom of managing your own money, freedom to be your own banker. Obviously, the bankster crooks do not want that to happen. So they are slowly dismantling this whole freedom movement that we've been enjoying over the past 10, 15 years, while the bankster crooks were on their knees because they completely blew up the financial system back there through George Bush Jr.'s years. So unfortunately, these 2020s is going to be a very, very difficult time for things like civil liberties. I find it hilarious how the 1% are so stunningly hypocritical. It's just disgusting. If anything, if she was a real leader, she would say, the last person in the world I want coming up following me is Bill Clinton, aka blowjobs in the White House. But this is the crooked world that we live in, folks. It sucks. I mean, it really does. But at the same time, too, all of this, sadly, you know what this does? This speaks to our reptilian part of our brain. This speaks to our emotional response, right? As a reptilian, all I want to do is I want to just bite this guy's head off and just be done with the world with these guys. I mean, this guy's one of the most evil people to ever be a leader of our Western societies. I mean, it's stunning, the corruption. And sadly, the whole way that they finesse this system, and the worst part about it is, and finish the sentence here, and you'll know exactly what the worst part about this whole shit is. Keep in mind, George Bush Jr., I didn't like him any better. Did you all like Dick Cheney? Oh, God. How about Orange Toupees? Is he any better than this guy? Look at my country. And the sad part about it is the guy that's actually setting up to be, basically the savior of our country from this insane little communist dictator who happens to look a hell of a lot like the dictator of Cuba, but I suppose we won't touch that today. I don't see any reason why he's going to be any different. So the whole point of this rant, and actually I think this is a beautiful dovetail. Number one, what are we supposed to think if we ever see these people's lips moving? Jim and Liz, this used to be your attorney general. So, nothing's changed here. The thing is it's our job as professional speculators and professional market participants not to get sucked into this shit. These guys are assholes. And they always lie to us. Always. They always want to have bigger government. They always want to try and take more of our livelihoods. It's just the reality of this shit show of the 21st century humanity. It's brutal. But at the same time, too, what I'm here to do, and this is what my number one job is, and this is why it's so important for me to just keep doing this, is that we don't need to get sucked into this. Where the hell's the damn image? Oh. Stop everything. I'll have to go find the damn image. Nope. Oh, fuck. Damn it. Anyway, hate when I do this. Where did I put the image? Come on, don't lose the inertia, Brian. You've got such a beautiful message going here. What I did with it. Anyway, you're here to learn the process. Actually, I had it on the Twitter thing, didn't I? Whoops. Where's Twitter? If you can learn the process, then you can basically tune out all these jerks. Here we go, way over here. All right. If you can learn the process, then all the political stuff is just nonsense. Yeah, they are going to steal as much of our money and as much of our livelihoods as they possibly can. I'm not going to argue that one bit. And it doesn't matter which side. They are going and they will try and steal as much of our money as possible. Our job, ironically enough, is just to outpace them. And I mean, you have to understand the market state. And as I said earlier, our job is not to push a chain. And if the market is not bullish right now, then there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to sit and patiently wait. Patience and discipline. If you're not going to take the education program, then for God's sakes, at least write that down in your journals as you're watching this video. But we grill this. We drive it home on a daily basis. Patience and discipline. They are the most important things in a trader's life. And sometimes you just have to wait. And then, if your setups do come in, then ironically enough, your job as a professional speculator is to identify markets that have been driven into the ground. And when those damn setups come in, you have to tune out all the bullshit around you and you have to act. You have to act according to the plan. You have to act according to everything that you have pre-set out before you ever put the trade on. You have to act appropriately. And if you cannot act appropriately, then you go back to the penalty box. You sit in the penalty box and you go through the process of just minuscule, maybe paper trades, maybe incredibly small 1/10 account size trades until you can act appropriately. But your job as a professional investor is you must build a plan. You must articulate what it is that's going to get you to act. And that plan, articulation, the setup must be at least 60 to 70% accurate so that you know that when you put the trade on, you've got pretty good odds that it's going to work. And then if the trade does work, you have to get paid proportionately, ideally at least 2-to-1 relative to the amount of risk that you've taken. You have to force yourself to take partial profits at that 2-to-1. You have to put on a free position, somehow get that runner going, and then just let the market do its thing. And that is how you get rich from trading. Somebody want to take a fucking soundbite from that? That was absolute gold what I just told you. And only 57 of you get to hear this. Why? I don't know. How do we get the message out? What I am going to say is I'm now officially 15 minutes late for my boy, so I better shut the hell up. We'll circle back around and we'll address the Q&A document question tomorrow in the after party. And I actually don't think we're going to do the public videos anymore. So if anything, what I think you all should do is get your butt on the site for the 30-day trial, if nothing else, and park yourself in the lounge. And we do these Zoom calls. We'll continue on with the site videos. And then what I think I'm going to ask Chris to do is just piece together a 10, 15, 20-minute summary of those site videos for the public channel as sort of a daily recap without all the rants and all the run-on sentences. Okay, I think we'll leave it at that. I don't know. Give me a thumbs up. Like this video if you could. I don't know, share it with your brethren. I think there was a bunch of real good nuggets of wisdom here today. Obviously, with a couple weeks off, I've had a few things that I wanted to mention to you all here on YouTube, and went a little bit long here today, but I think there was good value. So, if anything, if you did see value in the video here today, please put a comment down. It helps us out a lot. It could just be something as simple as great video, love the content, or if anything, name 2 or 3 things that I mentioned to you today in the comments that you considered as learning pieces that nobody in the public ever talks about. And I know that I mentioned at least 3 different things that I know for certain, things like what's your appropriate risk exposure as a financial planning perspective. Jim and Liz, I don't even know if you're even ever heard that kind of talk before. So, okay. Have yourselves a great day. Thank you very much for the best wishes with Lily. If you could all just say a nice little prayer for him. Remember, that's really my number 1 job. I got to get the hell out of here. I'm like wicked late now. But we'll spend some extra time on the road today. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Slow, steady wins the race. The only thing left right to say to you all is bye for now.